You're listening to an Encore presentation of the Cinematic Flashback Podcast.
Welcome to the Cinematic Flashback Podcast. Get ready to hop into the Wayback Machine as we journey through the wild, bold, and unforgettable films of the 1970s. Each episode, we'll break down a classic or not-so-classic movie with a fun, fresh approach. We'll explore the who's who of each film, dive into the premise and plot, see how it performed then and now, and wrap things up with, did it groove through the decades or lose its beat? I am your host, Chuck Bryan, and with me today is Matt Sargent. Matt, you recommended today's film. What year am I setting the Wayback Machine to?
Let's set it back to 1979. We're talking about Breaking Away, which I saw as a young person. It's a great film recommended to me by an adult when I was about to turn 18. I didn't think much of it. I thought it would be a terrible movie to watch, but I didn't have anything else to do. I went to see it on Thanksgiving during Thanksgiving dinner because I was a wrestler and I needed to make weight for a tournament and I could not partake in Thanksgiving dinner. So my friend and I needed to do something away from the house to get away from the food. So we said, oh, we'll go to see this movie. And we went and saw it and we got out of that movie and we were hands above our heads. We were so jazzed after we got out of that movie. I think we actually did pretty well in that tournament. So it was a great experience for me. And it was one of those movies that hits kind of right on time based on my age.
How would you summarize this film?
The film involves these four young people who are growing up in Bloomington, Indiana, that is home to Indiana University, IU. And so there's the whole people that live in the town and people that go to the school type of dynamic going on. And these four friends are possibly or possibly not going on to college. There's a lot of confusion in sort of the past. Their parents, their dads, all worked at cutting stone, which built the university. So in the movie, town people are called cutters. So there's a little bit of, us versus them kind of thing. I think this is, at the heart of hearts, a story of how young men and their fathers relate or don't. And that's some of the fun of this movie. I would also say this is a great family film. There is some language, but there's absolutely no gratuitous sex or really adult situations. There's some innuendo, but not much. You could watch this with your grandmother. You could watch it with your 12-year-old or 13-year-old, I think. Compared to movies today, it's absolutely squeaky clean.
This was my first viewing based on your recommendation. I was aware of the film. I remember the advertisements for this film, and I walked away from it as it's a sports film. And it was a sports film about cycling, which I was not really interested in. But now watching it today, I think this is going to make an appearance either at Thanksgiving or Christmas when the family is together to watch a film that I'm sure they haven't seen.
We are going to talk about things in this movie that could possibly ruin it for you or tell you how things turn out. But if you don't want any kind of spoiler, I encourage you to go see it now and then come back to the video and you'll enjoy some of our comments, maybe more. Even if you listen to this and then go see the movie, I think you will still enjoy it. But the main thing for me is you should go get it so you can watch it.
Where could someone go to get this movie if they want to watch it?
You can pick it up for about $4 from major streamers, and I think it's well worth it. You might be able to find it free in somebody's pile of DVDs or something like that, but it's about $4 and well worth it.
Enrico Giamande spends 8 hours a day training to be the finest racer in all of Italy. But Enrico has a problem. He's not in Italy. He's in Bloomington, Indiana.
Papa! Ciao, Papa!
And he's not Enrico Giamande.
I should have hit him when I had the chance. He'd be dead now. Oh, grazie, Tante Santa Maria.
He's Dave Stoller.
He was as normal as pumpkin pie, and now look at him.
But Dave's not crazy.
He's never tired. He's never miserable.
He's on the road to adulthood.
When I was young, I was tired and miserable. You are numero uno, King Papa.
And he's decided to take a little detour at the age of 19.
What are we going to do about it?
I don't know, dear. We could always strangle him while he's asleep.
20th Century Fox presents Breaking Away, the story of four guys in imminent danger of turning 20.
How you doing, guys?
Well, we're a little disturbed by the developments in the Middle East, but...
Who refuse to give up immaturity without a fight.
Smart move, Shorty. Ma pari tout amor. I'm in love.
We'll wind up a bum. Italian bum.
I'll tell him he either has to get a job or go to college.
Hell, I don't want to go to college, Dad. To hell with them.
What, are you afraid?
Yeah. A little bit.
The only thing I'm afraid of is wasting the rest of my life with you guys. I thought that was the whole plan. That we were going to waste the rest of our lives together.
I'm leaving soon.
Great, Dad. I wish you a nice trip.
You too.
I'm not going anywhere.
I don't know about that.
Breaking away, somewhere between growing up and settling down. It happens to all of us.
Breaking Away has a really great cast, and there are a lot of actors you're going to recognize, but they are so young. In fact, you're going to recognize almost immediately from the movie City Slickers or Home Alone, Daniel Stern. But this was his first movie, playing the friend Cyril. Their main character's name is Dave Stoller, played by Dennis Christopher. He was in Chariots of Fire. He's been in a lot of films. He even worked on an Italian film. And so in this movie, he speaks Italian, and he's speaking Italian. You'll also recognize a very young Dennis Quaid playing Mike. Someone you may or may not recognize is Jackie Earle Haley. He plays the little friend Moocher, the little guy who eats 3 meals a day, but burns off about 5.
And the reason why I say you may not recognize him is because in many of his movies, his face is completely obscured, whether he's playing Rorschach in The Watchmen or he's reprising the role of Freddy Krueger in the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. And Matt, you remember him for another movie.
So there's I don't know what you call it. It's sort of animated movie, but it's animated live action. It's Alita Battle Angel. Came out a couple of years ago. He is the voice for Gruishka, who is the giant kind of super cyborg. This movie is, sort of where people are partially or almost completely robotic. He's this giant thing that Alita, who is, it's just a cool story, but she goes into battle with him quite a few times in this whole movie, and his voice is absolutely distinctive. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, he also did some other voiceover work. I don't have it at my fingertips. As soon as you hear his voice, you'll recognize that he appears as a wonderful voice actor, which is actually a secret. If you talk to Hollywood actors, voiceover is bread and butter. They love them because they make a ton of money. It's easy work. They come into the studio, do their voiceover, they head up and get a check. They love it.
Yeah. That's great. I saw Alita Battle Angel on video, and that's a film that I really wish I would have seen in the theaters. I really enjoyed the story, but just from the technical aspect, it was really good. The film looks fabulous.
Yeah, no, it's great. I would definitely recommend that as well as when you look at this. It's a cool story.
Matt, who do we have playing the mom and the dad?
The mom and dad. The dad is played by Paul Dooley. He's a character actor in. We only have one listed here as Strange Brew, as Uncle Claude Elsinore.
So I put that in because Strange Brew is one of my guilty pleasure films. It's a ripoff of the story Hamlet. In fact, they claimed Hamlet stole their script, or Shakespeare stole their script. Paul Dooley plays Uncle Claude Elsinore in the film, and it's dumb fun.
When you see that actor, you'll recognize him. He plays
he's
dad,
been in a lot.
uncle, a goofy person. He's great, absolutely great in this film. Very good and funny.
When he auditioned for this part, he was coming from, he had just wrapped up his previous film, and they wanted him to come in and do a table read, but not just like 3 pages. They wanted him to do the entire table read with the entire cast. And, you know, he's going there and he's looking at the script, he's reading it through, and then it hits him. He said, oh my gosh, this character is my dad. He knew immediately where to pull inspiration from to pull this father.
He does a great job. The relationship between Dave Stoller and his dad, these two actors, they really play it well. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. And then the mom, Barbara Barry, she's a great supporting character in this movie. She plays the interface between the dad and Dave perfectly. She's wonderful in the movie.
This is not the first time she's played either, you know, a mom or a wife.
Sure.
Again, Barbara is a actress who has been recognized in many different films and TV shows. I recognized her from Barney Miller because, like All in the Family, Barney Miller was another staple.
Yeah.
I don't believe I ever saw Private Benjamin. I do recall the movie. She played Goldie Hawn's mother in that.
Yeah. I did see that movie, but I'd have to rewatch it. I'll bet she played a similar
I'm sure
character or something like that.
And how about Kathy or Katarina?
She's the love interest.
Yeah, she's played by Robin Douglas, who was also very young in her career. She went on to play opposite Steve Martin, the lonely guy.
She also played Jamie Hamilton in Galactica 1980.
I remember it, but I was not a Galactica fan. I remember seeing it a bit, but not much. So that brings us to Rod.
Rod is played by Hart Bochner, and he is the main antagonist to Dave and the friends in the movie. He is also competing for the love interest of Kathy. Looking over his filmography, the one movie that stood out to me was my favorite Christmas movie, Die Hard.
Hans, Bobby, I'm your white knight.
That's amazing. That's so funny. You see these actors pop up in these odd roles. It's interesting how these careers unfold.
We'll take a quick intermission here. Just enough time to grab some popcorn or top off your drink. You're listening to the Cinematic Flashback Podcast. Stay tuned. The show continues right after this. And we're back. Hope you enjoyed that brief intermission. Now, let's roll the next reel and get back into the conversation.
The movie was directed by Peter Yates. Peter Yates has had a long career in Hollywood. He directed 1968's Bullet. He went on to direct the movie The Dresser, as well as Krull. Steve Tesich was the writer for the film. He's known for The World According to Garp and American Flyers.
And he wrote the source material as well, right?
He did, and I have a story about that. Breaking Away was nominated for multiple awards at the Academy Awards that year. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Song Score and its adaptation, and won for Best Screenplay. Accepting that award was Steve Tesich. This film is known as a sports film. Breaking Away is on American Film Institute's 10 Top 10 in the sports film category. And also it makes appearance on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Cheers list as the 8th most inspiring film of all time. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar named this his 5th favorite sports film.
That's amazing. Pretty funny in retrospect. I did not know it won an Academy Award, which is amazing. And it got nominated for so many other things. It's pretty impressive. The core beauty of this film is the story. And I think that's what it got an Academy Award for. So that they got it right this time, I think.
So, Matt, one of the interesting things about Steve Tesich was he was originally born in Yugoslavia and then migrated to the United States with his family when he was about 14 years old. In fact, he says he learned English by watching Western films, even to the degree that he thought that when they got to Chicago that they were going to be greeted by a cowboy on a horseback. Steve graduated from Indiana University and was a member of the Phi Kappa Psi fraternity, where he participated in the Little 500, which is a subject of the movie we're watching today, because it is an annual bicycle race known as the world's greatest college weekend. And this is an event that features 4-person teams competing around a quarter-mile track, competing 200 laps or about 50 miles. So in 1962, Steve Tesich's team won
the Little 500. And he wrote a story about that focused on his teammate named Dave Blaze, who rode 139 of the 200 laps. He submitted this as a draft treatment, and the story got shelved. So he started working on another story that centered around the limestone workers of Bloomington, Indiana. And they were colloquially known as Stonies, but due to that term's association with drug use, it was changed to Cutters. And the story highlighted the themes of social class, tension, friendships, and the desire for a better future. When Peter Yates became involved, he recognized that Steve could combine both of these two stories. And that is the film that we know today as Breaking Away.
That is a cool story on how something developed in someone's head. And what a great story of an immigrant coming to the United States and reaching their dreams and succeeding. It's amazing. When you watch this movie, you will see those two parts of the story well worked together. We talked about the conflict, not between the kids, but that the kids they've graduated from high school. Their parents all went on to work as Stonies or cutters in the movie, but basically work at the quarries and cutting facilities in the town. That was like if you've seen movies where the kids grow up and become coal miners. You know, it's like everybody's going to be a coal miner until you have a kid who shoots off rockets and then goes off and works for NASA. So it's definitely a story we've heard before. But the difference here is the stone cutting is largely complete. They are not hiring tons of people. So these guys, you know, what are we going to do? What are we going to do for work? And of course, a couple of them actually, you know, go and do a college entrance exam on the sly. They don't want to tell their friends they might be going to college.
And the main character, Dave, has a very interesting persona.
An Italian bicycle rider. And you find in the movie, his mother makes mention that he was quite sickly as a young child, and that once he got on a bike, he really got much healthier. It's great exercise. In exploring the sport, he looks to the best riders in the world.
Best of the best.
At the time, the Italian riders were the best. He takes on the persona. He starts speaking in Italian, calls mama and papa, much to the father's chagrin.
There's a hilarious line where two old couples sitting on the porch and they hear him singing in Italian as he goes riding on his bicycle by, and he used to be just a good boy.
Well, they're lamenting for the parents. They're like, I'm so sorry for the parents, which is funny. Yeah. I mentioned this before, but this was a good allegory for young people just speaking a different language than their parents. Yep. The parents just not understanding. You know, and you see in the father, he's super frustrated, but also not. He's like, what is he going to do? He needs to suffer like I did. The mom is kind of like, you got to roll with the punches. And that's a beautiful part of the story, how that relationship is in this foreign language. It's a lot of funny humor and drives one of the core conflicts in the movie. He's riding through campus. And he's on his bike, and an occasion happens that he can rescue a damsel in distress by delivering to her a notebook.
Her note that she had
dropped. She's on her scooter, and he's on his bike, and then...
Was that a Vespa?
Yeah, it was a Vespa.
Like, I think that is what I thought. Maybe he's sitting there and sees this beautiful young lady hop onto a Vespa, and that all just works with his Italian
it's hilarious. Vespas were not hugely prevalent, a bit of a stretch. It's a great thing to get around campus. But the funny part of it, that sets up this thing where a case of semi-mistaken identity. This girl believes this is an Italian exchange student. He lets it go on. He romances her. And so obviously we can roll forward and know that that's going to have to be resolved in some way as it goes forward.
When the film opens up, we are introduced to this friend group of 4 young guys. They all just quit their job at the A&P. One of the areas that they go to escape life is to the quarry that has now filled up with water.
Sure. I think the other thing to take away from this is where they go to seek solace and be semi-alone are the holes their fathers dug.
I think there's
a line where the only thing we've left behind are these holes. Yeah. It's interesting because part of the conflict in the movie, obviously, between the people that live in the town and the people that live in the college, which is, you know, this is the same thing in virtually every college that has a small town that has a university at it. You have some of this type of dynamic. The college kids come to the quarry, and that sets up some conflict.
So when Dave is beginning to romance and pursue Kathy,
he realizes she has a boyfriend, Rod, who is the rich kid.
Rod in this movie is, I mean, he's extremely handsome. He has a beautiful car. He's on the swimming team. He is in a fraternity. So he is sort of everything, everything that he has. He knows what he wants. And that is, in direct contrast to this group of four. And so there's some conflict there. And part of this movie is exploring that conflict. I will say, the relationship between Kathy and Rod seems like boyfriend and girlfriend, but it may be that period of a relationship where things have gotten a little stale, because he doesn't woo Kathy anymore at all. And Dave in the movie is going all out. He serenades her,
He's
brings
pursuing
her flowers.
He does the whole serenades her. He gets his friend Cyril to play the guitar.
Hilarious.
And he sings this song, which while he's singing, things are afoot back at his mom and dad's house. You see the romance from both generations starting to blossom. Sweet.
Yes, very sweet. He's outside the dorm or sorority house. They're hanging out the window, and that scene ends beautifully. It's fun.
She's very smitten by the persona of that Dave is portraying to her.
It's real interesting, and of course, at us being on the other side of the proscenium, watching the action, we know that something is building. Something's going to go wrong because at some point in the future, Dave's pretending to be Italian is going to be laid bare, and we realize that Kathy has started to have feelings for this character. We're just waiting for something to happen, and it does.
We'll pause here for just a moment. Think of it as a real change. Stick around, there's more Cinematic Flashback coming up right after this. And we're back. The lights are down, the film's rolling, and the final act begins. Let's jump back into the Cinematic Flashback Podcast.
Hey, Matt, let's talk about Mike real quick.
I used to think I was a really great quarterback in high school. Still think so, too. Can't even bring myself to light a cigarette because I keep thinking I gotta stay in shape. You know what really gets me, though? I mean, here I am, I gotta live in this stinking town, and I gotta read in the newspapers about some hotshot kid, new star of the college team. Every year is gonna be a new one. Every year is never gonna be me. I'm just gonna be Mike. 20-year-old Mike. 30-year-old Mike. Oh, mean old man Mike. These college kids out here, they're never gonna get old. They're out of shape. Because new ones come along every year. They're gonna keep calling us cutters. For them, it's just a dirty word. For me, it's just something else I never got a chance to be.
It was a beautiful piece of writing because it really captures that. If anybody's lived in a college town, that's absolutely true. There's always going to be new kids coming in who are 19 and you're just getting older. It's a great scene.
Mike's character reminds me of a person who maybe 20 years down the road basically be the main character from the song by Bruce Springsteen called Glory Days, where he's always reliving those in his mind.
I have something to say about that, I think.
Sure.
And I don't disagree with you, but here's what I come away from. When I come away from that, I think he could easily fall into that trap. But I think based on what was just said, just our clip we just heard, he has enough insight and sort of ability to kind of realize where he's at and that he can go forward and make a life for himself. My desire is that he doesn't become that. He's not, I mean, and here's one of the important things in this movie. He's really coming to terms with he's not the best of the best. He's not the best. He's not arrogant. And we find in scenes of the movie where he fails.
Yeah.
And he's shown that he's not the best. And it's important, but he still, and we see going forward in the movie, he still fights with his desire to say, well, I'm not even going to play. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And he gets, let's just say it, he gets on the bike and he does what he has to do to help the team and help his friends. And I just, my personal opinion is that he is not the guy who ends up doing that. He could easily have, but I think he doesn't. That's my dream.
I love that you have the positive outlook. For me, I was thinking he might be Uncle Rico years down the road. He's going to throw that football over the mountain.
See, that's it, and I get why you might think that, and that's kind of the thing. It's easy to write off, but the way, he was written with this introspective and with these failures, and with the idea, the final realization that even though what he has isn't the best, it's still worthy. I think that's going to lead him down into meeting the right person, settling down, having some kids, and being a goofy dad. At least that's my hope. We kind of know where Dave will end up. We sort of assume where Moocher and Cyril will end up to some extent, pretty much working dudes. That's what's going to happen. But the interesting one are the Dave and the Mike, and I really think Mike would have surprised us. That's my dream. He certainly could have fallen short, but I don't think so. Not after this movie.
I'm kind of jealous about you a little bit, Matt, because you got to see this film from both sides of the story. You saw this as a young man, and now you've seen this as a father. Your kids have grown out of the house. We're seeing this film from a different age perspective. How did that influence how you saw Paul Dooley's character?
I am very lucky to have seen this sort of at that time. I mean, I was very close to the age of these characters. They're 19. I was about to turn 18. It was my senior year in high school. I was getting ready to make those decisions about going off to college. I had a girlfriend at the time. There was just a lot of stuff going on. And also I had a dad who was, he was a tough character to some extent. My dad was a no-nonsense dude. It's a rocket scientist, very, very intelligent. And he was also, I was a wrestler, and I played football, and he was interested in all that. And I was less interested in it, possibly. So it was always a sort of source of conflict. So I really, in watching the movie, I remember watching the movie going, that dad doesn't understand. And now when I watched it again just recently, I look back and I'm like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I can see myself in that dad.
Your observation about Dave speaking Italian being kind of an analogy for how parents and kids sometimes just can't communicate. No, they don't. And that's true. I think every parent at some point, especially as your children get older, you begin to realize that, wow, I don't know you, but that's part of the process. For children eventually, and Dave definitely is doing this in the movie, he's growing into his own character. They've taken that gap year. He's exploring who he is. And does he want to go to college? Does he want to continue to work in the limestone business? Is that even an option?
Dad at the used car.
Yeah.
He speaks a different language, and it seems to be this source of frustration for the dad. But like all dads, there's a level of, okay, I don't understand it. I'm trying to get my arms around who this kid is, who's lived in my house. Maybe I don't really understand everything they are into. And one of the scenes in the movie, something happes, and it really,
there's a disappointment.
I don't want to ruin it. There's a disappointment, that their relationship. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me say it this way. Paul's innocence, his imaginary Italian character does come to an end.
Yes.
In a very disappointing way for him. It just breaks him.
One of the most important scenes in the movie is when this happens. Everything the father's been complaining about, the Italian and the singing and the loud opera music, all of that comes to an end. The son is distraught. And you can see in the dad, played wonderfully, his consternation over, okay, I said I wanted this to end, but I didn't want to end like this. I didn't want my kid to get hurt. It's very touching.
You want your children to be successful, and at some point you want them, I mean, today the kids say, the young group say it's adulting. At some point you want them to begin to not only leave the nest, but to have their own life, to be able to be successful. Sometimes that also comes with a bit of bittersweetness, because it doesn't always happen as directly as you would want it to. And I think Paul, the dad, realizes that, I didn't want you to get to it in this direction.
Yeah. So it just sort of, you keep going over these scenes and realizing that that's why he got the Academy Award. I think over and over again, you go through these scenes. It's just such great.
Yeah.
They're great little snippets of human interaction that are so accessible.
I love that scene. That was a great scene.
The acting of Barbara Barry in that scene is absolutely, in my opinion, perfect, because she's looking on her son and her husband with such affection and love. It comes through in the acting, and it's like amazing acting. Yeah, right. So we can all say, actors are like, oh, they're just pretending. It's like, this is tough. She doesn't have a word, no lines at all. She's just in her face, her look, in her eyes. It's amazing. Right? When you see the scene, you'll know what I'm talking about.
The scene with the passport.
Yes,
her lines in that, she completely improvised.
Did
that.
she?
In an interview with 4 of the characters from the film, they talk about, I think it's Paul Dooley actually talked about how Barbara had improvised that scene with the passport on that. And I think because of that, and because of her role overall that she did through the film, that's why she was recognized with an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Matt, let's talk about the tension between the college students and our 4 friends at the quarry.
For a variety of reasons, we talked about the general conflict between people that live in the town versus the kids that are in school. But, the kids are at their, our 4 kids, the Cutter group, are at their quarry, which they really consider to be theirs. Obviously, there's a lot of stress because, in any college town, college kids come, they take over the bars, they take over the restaurants, they're everywhere. So these guys really feel like this quarry is theirs. And the college kids show up, and lo and behold,
it's their fortress.
It's their place. But who shows up? Obviously, Rod and Kathy, who ends up being, is the girl that is the love interest with Dave, and then a variety of other kids from the university who I will point out, as we go forward in the story, the college kids are painted in a pretty good light. I mean, because generally Rod's friends are like, hey, calm down. Hey, this is not worth it. Hey, what are you doing? And it's Rod that's kind of being the jerk largely now. And I think it was good of the writer to kind of make sure that you realize, all these kids in this college are not horrible people, right? They're just out of college.
I think that I like that Mike has something to prove to Rod. And there's a scene where they're swimming in the quarry. And you see in that scene that although Mike is truly outclassed in terms of swimming abilities, he's not outclassed in heart.
Yeah.
And he will continue. It goes back to the character of Mike, who I think is just amazing.
Yeah, and that's great. So that's one of their conflicts, is just a location. And like you had described before, or like we're talking about before, there's a period of time when the Cutter kids sort of go into the university. So they're at what we would call in the old days a student union. There's a bowling alley there. There's a restaurant. There's all the kids are gathered there. And that's where the hilarious scene with Daniel Stern gets his fingers caught in a bowling ball. And then there's a fight that breaks out. He's just swinging it around and around.
I'm starting to get visions of his character from Home Alone.
Yeah.
Like he's starting
very
to rehearse
funny,
for this.
Physical comedian. His voice in this movie is hilarious. It's the way he talks and what he says. Great comic relief. To resolve the conflict, we have the Little 500, which is a cool bike race. I had never seen anything like it. Everybody gets the same bike, and it's up to you to get the bike in shape. Dave tunes their bike to the 9s to make it absolutely perfect, but it's still pieces of junk because they all get the same. It's like I think it's sort of like a NASCAR race.
It was, my wife and I were watching this film, and she had a 10-speed. Unfortunately, she had a 10-speed stolen, but she had a 10-speed. And the first thing she notices, there's no brakes on
there's no gears.
On this bike.
It's just one gear.
There's no gears. It's one gear, baby.
They have brakes. It's you pedal backwards. They were coaster brakes.
The little 500 still goes on today. It is billed as the greatest weekend of college at Indiana University. This is a iconic event at Indiana. The whole town is in on it. The faculty is in. They're excited about it. Alumni are coming in. It's big. It's very big. So
the judge instructs that the cutters, quote unquote cutters, in other words, the town team, needs to have a team and that's where this conflict is going to be decided in a healthy athletic competition in the little 500, which is, as we spoke before, 200 laps and basically a team of 4, and they're supposed to switch off. So one person could ride the entire thing, but typically they switch off, like in heats and things like that, and give a person a break. They enter into the little 500. As I said, they all have the same bicycle, so there's no advantage there. The bike is one size. It's not really adjustable, so you pretty much usually pick your team for all the people that can fit correctly on the bike. And the cutter team definitely doesn't have that. We have Moocher, who is very small of stature, and at one point, gets on the bike because he has to, and it's hilarious because he can barely reach the pedals. But
even in the midst of the competition, there is humor.
It's everything. We don't want to give it away, but obviously it's an uplifting movie, so we're pretty sure things are going to work out well for our heroes. But it's there's a good amount of drama, and it's done well. And I can't recommend this film enough. I think people really would enjoy it if they go and see it. Or not go and see it, but rent it and see it.
So, Matt, did Breaking Away groove through the decades, or has it lost its beat?
I think it grooved through the decades. I think it's a movie that can speak to relationships and issues of today just as well as it did when it came out in 1979. And it is kind of fun for me to see it from both sides, like you said, as a young person and now as a dad looking back on it. It is truly one that has really held. And I think, sometimes we think the Academy Awards maybe don't get it right. They got it right on this one. It's a great story.
The film does look a little bit dated today, but the story is strong. I would put this right there with movies such as Rocky or The Karate Kid. It's a great introduction to actors that you're going to see throughout the years.
Or have seen.
I definitely appreciate you recommending this one. It was, like I said, it was one that I hadn't seen before, and really glad I got to see it.
I honestly do not know why it flashed into my head, except for we are coming up to Thanksgiving time, right? And that is when I went, as I described, is we went during that time. And it just struck me as like we had talked about doing another film, and I had even started some preparation for that. And then I was like, you know what? This would be a great film. And then when you said you hadn't seen it, I was like, this is perfect. You're going to see it.
Perfect.
And we're going to do it. I had no doubt.
Nice.
Once I said it and you said you hadn't seen it, I was like, okay, we're doing that. We're doing Breaking Away because you're going to watch it and you're going to love it. And I was right.
I don't think sixth grade me would have appreciated as much as 18-year-old Matt would have appreciated.
I can't as much. It's so funny to me that my girlfriend's mom recommended it to me, and I was like, what? It's definitely not, And she was spot on, kind of. She understood. She was a very perceptive lady. I loved her to death. She's passed away now, but we kept in touch. I always thanked her for recommending that film.
Matt, just thank you so much for recommending that we watch Breaking Away. And I also want to thank our listeners for joining us. If you want to contact us, you can email us at podcast@cinematicflashback.com or leave a comment on our Facebook page, the Cinematic Flashback Podcast. Also, we are trying to build this show, and we would deeply appreciate a review on the platform you are listening to. If you've enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star review so we can reach more listeners. So join us next time as we take the Wayback Machine to the 70s to explore another film from that decade.
All I want is a refund.
Refund? Refund? Are you crazy?